everybody, and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, I have a special breakdown talking about Bitcoin and price discovery, talking a little bit about the scenarios that I think Bitcoin is going to be following. Then we're going to be jumping into the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, analyzing when Altseason is going to take place because it really revolves around this chart reversing, which I think could be due very soon. We're also going to be jumping over here and taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance and analyzing when Altseason is truly going to take place and how it's really looking like it's going to be at any point now. To finish up this video, I'm going to be providing you guys with a couple of my favorite altcoin picks that I think are going to be providing some big gains and already have since my last videos. If you guys ever want to see how I'm investing my portfolio, what altcoins I'm buying, selling, and trading over this cycle, links are in the description. Go ahead and sign up on my website, link below. Now guys, when we're looking at Bitcoin, we've been consolidating right at these prior all-time highs, and we're more or less still right at that prior high, wondering whether or not we're going to go into price discovery or whether this is going to be resistance. And we haven't fully confirmed one way or another, but what I can say is when we drop it to a shorter time frame, we're pretty much consolidating right at those prior all-time highs. You know, we're at the moment of truth where if we see a lower low, I wouldn't be surprised to still see a dip get bought up for continuation. But the big thing is, if this shows a lot of weakness and we start dropping and we start doing something like this and it's looking heavy, we could be in for a much deeper type of a pullback. And the big thing that I'm looking at right now is we're like 20 days away or so for our next Bitcoin halving, sometime in April that's supposed to take place. So mid to the end of April, we're going to have our next Bitcoin halving. And there's been one scenario that's kind of I've been reminded of because it was when I first got into Bitcoin that this happened. And it was one of the biggest learning experiences that I actually had in the first cycle I was a part of. Now in that first cycle, I remember watching Bitcoin rallying up here because I bought Bitcoin at $450. So 450 bucks per Bitcoin. I got in and then it instantly broke out. I was so excited because I just never, known something like this was possible. And so then when Bitcoin made this sell-off and the halving happened, I took a margin long position on Bitfinex, knowing that it was the future, knowing it was going to moon because of the halving, only for it to drop 25%, and I got liquidated. So as quick as I started my Bitcoin journey, I got liquidated and lost everything. But in my opinion, what we're experiencing today is a very similar type of move in price. If we come all the way over into here and look at where we're at today in Bitcoin, in my opinion, it could be a very similar consolidation, mainly just because of the halving, right? Both of these their halving happened and then the price capitulated. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that play out, but that's the most bearish scenario for Bitcoin that I see. The only scenarios that I see is, Bitcoin's either going to reverse here where we're at before we go into new all-time highs, or we're going to see one more final capitulation, probably back down to like 53 or 54K, before that reversal into new all-time highs. Both of these scenarios show that I think Bitcoin's going into a new all-time high, going into price discovery. The only question I have is, well, is this halving going to be the sell the news type of event where we do see one more final capitulation, or are we just going to reverse here and start trending up? I don't know, but I'm playing the market either way. If we get a dip, I would prefer that because obviously I'm trying to buy a dip. We've just been front-running the whole cycle. Everything has been on a much quicker pace than any of our prior trends, and that's why I think that, if we get a dip back below these all-time highs and we kind of come back down to reconsolidate, I'm happy because I'm going to buy more altcoins. I know what's going to happen big picture. We went 850 days from the all-time high for us to make a new one. That's at a much quicker pace than anything we've seen up to this point, and I think that that's an early indication that this cycle is a little bit different. Obviously, we have institutions, we have a lot of different things that we just didn't have in those prior ones, and so when I'm looking at the similarities of each of our last two cycles and how we're front-running, I wouldn't be surprised to get one more pullback in here. I would love it. I'd jump back into the market, obviously, before we start getting that next big move into price discovery. Because the cycle so far does look similar to 2017. The only difference is we're just doing it at a quicker pace. So where we're at right now is kind of like right over here before we get that new all-time high. And I think it's going to be a fun cycle for anybody to be a part of. I want everybody to get another opportunity to buy the dip. So if we get a dip, great, buy that, because I don't think it's going to last very long. You'd probably have to set your buy orders if you want to catch it, because there's going to be a lot of people doing the same, already anticipating anything to happen. A lot of people are wanting to buy dips, and so they just set buy orders along the way, and they catch those sort of liquidation events that take place. And that's the only way to really prepare, is to have the foresight to understand that this is a potential, and then trade the potential. You don't have to bet all all in on that. You don't have to sell your whole portfolio right now and go all in on the dip that may or may not happen. But if there is a dip, have some cash on the sidelines. If there isn't, keep your spot holdings and then just look to hold into price discovery. It's pretty simple. Coming over here and looking at ETH BTC, this is a very important chart because if this chart is trending up, it means altcoins are doing good. The reason 2017 was so powerful was because altcoins were in price discovery against Bitcoin, right? The Bitcoin ratios were in price discovery the whole time. Our last cycle was this big old fart in the wind. It didn't even go into a new all-time high. It didn't even retest the range highs of the last cycle. It just went to the mid-range and then just turned into a stable coin that sucked. So that's what we're kind of looking at with ETH BTC. But with this cycle, I believe that when we reverse, it's going to be the first cycle that we've seen ETH BTC go into a new all-time high since 2017, and that's why I think the altcoins are primed for so much upside. Now, the big thing I'm watching here is even though ETH BTC is breaking down, or so it looks, what I'm looking at here is some of the most significant bullish divergence that we've seen on this chart in all of its history. Really, the most significant bullish divergence, I would argue. This is a weekly time frame, and what we are currently doing, in my opinion, could be a double bottom formation where we've made this low, this big bullish engulfing candle came in. That was where we saw the bullish divergence really start playing out on the RSI. However, we consolidated, made this double top looking thing, and we're coming right back down to that same support. Because this is also converging with our trend line that we've been building, and because this thing's been making lower lows and it's been making higher highs on the RSI, that's major bullish divergence on a weekly time frame. So I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being a double bottom formation. The dip gets bought. We flip this range at 0.06. And then we actually start that much more significant move into price discovery. I do believe that this is a point of reversal because when we're looking over here at our Bitcoin dominance, we're at the major descending resistance, right? We know that when the Bitcoin dominance is at major descending resistance, it's at a point where the altcoins are going to shift. Bitcoin dominance has been trending up in the same way that it was trending up after our last bear market of 2018. 2018, the cycle topped, and then the bear market happened, and throughout that entire time, Bitcoin actually trended up against altcoins. The same thing has kind of been happening this cycle, where we've been trending up, we held support from the cycle low, and then I do think that as we've gotten closer to this descending resistance, this is the point of the shift that I've talked about. This is where we're going to end up seeing all of that Bitcoin profit leaving Bitcoin and coming into the altcoins. But the big thing about this cycle is this will be the first cycle since 2017 where we've actually gone into price discovery against Bitcoin, right? The Bitcoin dominance was falling into bearish price discovery, whereas the altcoins were actually going into price discovery on the bullish sense, right? That's why 2017 was so great. We're comparing these. 2017 saw new all-time lows in the Bitcoin dominance, and then when we're looking over here, I do believe that this cycle is set to be the same because we will also be experiencing new all-time lows of Bitcoin dominance for the first time. And it will line up a lot like what I'm showing you today. Now coming over here and looking at Doge and Bitcoin, the only time Dogecoin starts breaking out and going into a new all-time high is once Bitcoin's retested those prior all-time highs and it's also started doing the same thing. So Dogecoin lags, it kind of will round out and be at its major cycle lows. And then at that exact moment of time when Bitcoin has already been uptrending and then goes into a new all-time high, price discovery takes place and Dogecoin always massively outperforms it once that actually happens. So I think that this cycle is set to be the same. When we're looking at Dogecoin, Dogecoin only starts reversing into a new all-time high once the Bitcoin dominance over here is actually topped. So the fact is, if Bitcoin dominance looks like it's at a top, Ethereum BTC looks like it's at a point of reversing where there's major bearish exhaustion taking place. And then we're looking over here at the Altseason indicator, the index itself being the ultimate meme in Dogecoin, reversing as Bitcoin's making a new all-time high. I just have nothing but confidence that all of these charts are lining up, telling the same story that they've always foretold. So as we're seeing this playing out in real time, it means that we need to position ourselves in altcoins. The reason why I said I would love a Bitcoin dip here is because altcoins would dip. We'd get a huge flush across the board, a big liquidation event. Everybody would freak out. Everybody would panic sell. Nobody would know what to do anymore. And then that would be the most opportune time where we can jump back into the market, buy the dip, and hold into price discovery. And that's really where we want to be prepared, guys. Even if you're somebody that's just full-blown bull, all you're looking to do is hold, you're never looking to sell, fine by me. But just be aware that if we saw a liquidation event, don't panic sell, don't freak out. They happen all the time, and it would be a great opportunity for anybody that's been waiting on the sidelines, anybody that's been waiting to get their friends, family, whoever on board. That's really where I would be positioning myself. So when I'm looking at all of these charts and I'm seeing reversals taking place in the altcoins, I'm looking at Bitcoin dominance looking like it's at a major topping point, even if it were to temporarily make like one more final high, but I'm still kind of leaning towards this thing breaking down. And these altcoins absolutely outperforming. This is going to be the first cycle since 2017. The altcoins are going into price discovery against Bitcoin. I can't tell you guys how bullish that is because most of you weren't around for 2016 and 2017, but I was. I was trading the whole entire thing, so I saw how insane the profits were, and I can't even begin to explain how wimpy the last cycle was for the altcoin profits. This was it right here. This was literally the altcoin cycle, and that I can't even begin to explain how, wimpy that was. That's just the only word I can use without, getting demonetized. So when we're looking at where we're at today, breaking down from thousands of days worth of consolidation all the way since 2018, we're at 2,250 days approximately in this consolidation. That's a long-term descending triangle. When this thing breaks down, the profit in the altcoins will be absolutely glorious, which is why I wanted to share with you guys one of my favorite altcoins to finish up this video, one that's already been pumping since my last update that we talked about, and one that is most definitely set for way more upside potential from here, and that is going to be Pulse Launch. Now guys, Pulse Launch was one that we just recently talked about. I made a video about it. We were consolidating and we had been, downtrending in this descending resistance. And then I pointed out how we had broken out right here, and that was where I made the video, was at the very bottom of this consolidation, or even at the very beginning of it going up. I can't remember specifically, but it was after this breakout. Now, after that point, we ended up seeing the market go into a new all-time high, and that's more along the lines of what I was expecting when I did see this breakout. So we had a lot of new volume coming in here, and once again, the market cap's only, which this market cap isn't even correct because this is showing all of the tokens in circulation. It's only really around like $6 million total market cap. So when we're looking at launch today, I think this thing is going to absolutely outperform, but the big reason I wanted to update you guys on this token isn't so much for the price chart itself, but was mainly to tell you guys that staking has finally went live. So if you guys did buy Pulse Launch, for anybody that's interested in getting into the pre-sales, the only way that you can get into the pre-sales that are going to be taking place on Pulse Launch is by holding and staking the launch token itself. So anybody that bought it down here in my video that was interested in getting access to those pre-sales, you got to actually stake your launch tokens. And the way that you can do that is over here on the main website. So I'm going to go over here and link it in the description. This is the address that you're going to deposit to. And then by depositing to it, you're actually going to get a bonus to the D.I.Y airdrop as well. So that's the real reason you guys are going to want to stake it. Not only are you going to get access to the pre-sales, not only are you going to get a bigger D.I.Y airdrop, but then that's really the value of this entire ecosystem because you're going to get rev share from any profits that are generated as well. So there's multiple reasons to be a staker in this. And the big reason is if you don't stake now, you're not going to get access to the first pre-sales that launch on the pad. And I think that those are going to be the most profitable ones of all. Now, the great thing about Pulse Launch is the fact that you're going to have 3 different ways to earn in this. By staking your Pulse Launch, you're going to get access to the rev share of the platform. You're going to also get Pulse points, which are how you whitelist yourself to the pre-sales that are coming. And then you're also going to get access to a bigger D.I.Y airdrop when that platform goes live. So you guys got to keep in mind that there's so many reasons for why this token is going to be bullish. There's going to be a lot of people buying it to get more of their D.I.Y airdrop. There's going to be more people buying it to stake it so that they can once again get an even further bigger D.I.Y airdrop, because by staking your launch tokens and getting your pulse points whitelist you to the incubations and the pre-sales, right? But then also when the platform goes live in a couple months, we're also going to be airdropping a DAO token to all of the holders. And the people that are staking are not only going to have the first pulse points available to get to the pre-sale, but they're also going to be getting a bonus on their airdrop on top of all of that. So there's just a lot of reason to be getting into this project. Not only is it just a great long-term hold, but from a staking perspective, there's a lot of profit that's going to be generated because you guys are early to this. So I wanted to give you guys an update as we're consolidating on top of these prior all-time highs as new support. Going over here to an hourly so it looks a little bit cleaner. We're just consolidating right on top of those prior all-time highs. So I'm pretty confident that once Bitcoin starts breaking out, this thing's going to go into price discovery, and there's going to be a lot, there's already a lot of the circulating supply that's being locked up in the staking contract. So anybody that wants to stake, I'm going to link this website in the description of this video so you can find it. Once again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. I appreciate all you guys checking in and just tuning into the videos. I love doing these. I want to keep you guys making the most money possible over the whole cycle, and I wanted to break down a video that I think is going to end up making you guys some profit as far as, giving you guys a little altcoin gem, talking about the markets as far as where I think the markets are headed, how we can stay positioned and prepared for whatever scenario takes place, because I think that things are at the very beginning of the most profitable cycle we're ever going to be a part of in crypto, and it's truly an honor and a pleasure to be trading it with you guys. So I want to see you guys profit. That's my goal of this channel, and I think that the way the charts are looking, you guys are setting yourselves up to make a significant profit long term. Thank you so much for tuning in, and with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. As always, peace out.